Hi, welcome back to Real Kosher Family Living. It's Robin. Was talking to my father about my high-fat diet plan, and he's a nurse practitioner, and he was mentioning some concern over the coconut oil, and it was a little surprising to me because I'm, kind of reading the alternative health world, which is all very pro coconut oil to the point where it's really, I would call it a food fad at the moment. And so I didn't know that it was still could be considered a problem in traditional Western medicine. Traditional Western medicine, it's like TCM but TWM. Anyway, so I didn't know that there was still some concern over it. So I went on the internet and I was doing some research, and I just wanted to mention a couple of the myths about coconut oil and why it's in fact fabulous for you, I hope. And then I'll talk a little bit about how hard it is to know and what is the truth about anything. So there is a study done in the early 1980s that proved that dietary coconut oil does not lead to high serum cholesterol nor to high coronary heart disease. And the strikes against coconut oil seem to be a study that was done on coconut oil that was done with hydrogenated oil. My coconut oil is, of course, not hydrogenated. And the second strike against coconut oil seems to be that it's a saturated fat. So let me grab my coconut oil. I'll show it to you here. Saturated fat, you can tell if your fat is saturated because it's solid at room temperature, which is one of the reasons why coconut oil is such an amazing food, is that you can just substitute it straight across for butter in any recipe. And if you're keeping kosher, it makes an awesome non-hydrogenated parve fat. So here it is. It's all solid at room temperature. Lovely. Makes a great moisturizer. See, you can just put it right there on your skin. Really good. It's said to be antibacterial, so could be good, very good for use in cases of eczema. We use a mixture of coconut oil for my son's skin. So that's the saturated fatness of it. So now, are all saturated fats bad for you? I guess is the big question. And I think I said in my last video, I love saturated fats, and I'm not worried that saturated fats actually can lead to coronary heart disease. I would challenge you to find an American who had a lot of saturated fat in their diet without having trans fats, because I don't think that the standard American diet today is high in saturated fat. In fact, it's very high in vegetable oil. So just a few more fabulous things about coconut oil is that nearly half of the fatty acid in coconut oil is lauric acid, which converts to the fatty acid monolaurin in the body. Monolaurin has adverse effects on a variety of microorganisms, including bacteria, fungus, yeast. Most of the saturated fat in coconut oil, which is again this lauric acid, is medium chain triglycerides, which are very easily digestible and converted into quick energy. Studies have shown that coconut oil actually helps protect against obesity. So this is one of the reasons why coconut oil is really a fad right now, especially in the alternative health world, because it can be so beneficial toward losing weight. And indeed, over the past 2 years, one of the big changes that I made in my diet, in my high-fat diet, is I added a lot of coconut oil to the diet. It's very, from a gourmet perspective, it's very heat stable. You can heat it all the way up to 360 degrees without damaging it, which is awesome, because if you're doing any kind of frying, you want to be very careful not to damage your oil. So coconut oil is fabulous for frying. Very cool. And again, I mentioned that it's totally non-dairy, so this is a totally parve product, and therefore you can use it in baking for making parve baked goods. I even use it on the very rare occasion I make a parve frosted cake. I use coconut oil in the frosting instead of butter, and I wouldn't use a margarine or any other kind of really high vegetable. I'm not a fan of soybean oil, so I wouldn't really use soybean oil product for those cooking things. But, so here we have a product. And a few years ago, everybody said, oh, it's bad. And now there's a fad about it, and a lot of alternative health people are saying, oh, it's the best thing since sliced bread, and you should eat a ton of it. And there are a lot of foods like this, right? I mean, a few years ago, my grandparents, who are very concerned about high cholesterol and coronary heart disease, may they live to be 120. They're both in their late 80s now, thank God. They were very concerned about eggs. Eggs were bad, and now we know that a lot of those cholesterol studies on eggs were done with actually not with eggs, but with egg products. Just like the studies on coconut oil weren't done with coconut oil, but partially hydrogenated coconut oil with trans fatty coconut oil. So all this food fad stuff really bothers me. I think I'm finding it increasingly difficult to sort through the information that's available and tell what is true and what isn't. Richard Feynman has an interesting interview that's all over YouTube about how hard it is to know things, and he specifically uses a very controversial example that it's very hard to know that food grown with organic fertilizer is better for you than food grown with non-organic fertilizer or pesticides, I don't know, with chemicals. That's a very hard thing for anybody to know. And I think a lot of nutrition is like that, just because not only is it hard to conduct these studies without all kinds of interference, and it's hard interference from yourself based on what you want the study to say, it's also hard to determine causality, which I talk a little bit about in my saturated fat video. Is there a correlating relationship? Both are present, or is it a causal relationship that one thing leads to another thing? That's a very hard decision to make. And then human beings are also unique. We're all created in the image of God. And I believe that the physical manifestation of being created in the image of God is that God is one, God is unique, and human beings are unique, and I have some proof from that. By the way, this is not my idea. This is thanks to Rabbi Daniel Lapin, who taught me this. But the proof that human beings are unique is in our fingertips, that there is no two people the same. No two people are physically identical. Even identical twins have different fingerprints. So, we really truly are unique. So trying to do a nutrition study and generalizing that across the population seems to me to be really hard. And if you don't believe people are, spiritually unique as a result of being a creator, you certainly can believe that people are massively complex. And the level of understanding we have of nutrition and how our bodies absorb nutrition is minuscule compared to the complexity of how nutrition actually works. So here's my big decision that I came to based on this, because I had a couple of days where it was really stressing me out how to evaluate information on what I should give my family to eat. And so here's my conclusion. I will decide what is healthy based on my intuition. And people say this all the time, oh, you should eat intuitively. But they kind of toss that off, and what they mean is you should eat intuitively as long as you know it's healthy. And to a certain extent, that's what you have to do, because that your knowledge that you have is going to inform your decisions. And I'm certainly not going to start thinking that intuitively M&Ms and potato chips are healthy. But I am just going to make decisions based on what my intuition tells me is the right food to eat. We'll see how that goes. So far, since I've started eating more intuitively, since I've started eating more foods that satisfied my hunger, like more fats, I've done fantastically. I'm almost at my goal weight. I'll let you guys know how that's going in an upcoming video. But yeah, so what I feel like is the right thing to eat, that's what we're going to eat. Stay tuned to see how that goes. Have a great day. Bye.